In this video, you will learn how to use basic functions in a Google Sheet. Functions are similar to writing formulas. Formulas you write sort of manually with operators like plus, minus, divide, and multiply. And with the functions, you are going to use some pre-baked, let's call them formulas, pre-baked formulas that are built into Google Sheets. Notice that if I go under the Insert menu, there is a function area, and the very most basic ones are listed in here, and then there's a More button with a trillion more as they can get very complex. But the basics are quite simple. All right, what I want to do actually is I want to have a second sheet where I can get some analysis of my data. So to get a second sheet, you would click on the plus sign, and it's going to add a whole nother spreadsheet to the right of your original tab. I don't like to have my analysis on my original sheet. I just like that to be straight up rows of data. So here I am on this new sheet. And these are the questions I want to answer very quickly with functions. I want to know what is the highest participation cost. I want to know the average cost of the jerseys or the uniforms. And I want to know the total income. So by total income, I mean how much money was brought in from the uniforms and the participation. So I can use functions to answer these things very quickly. So if I want my answer to appear here in B1, so column B, row 1, I select that cell and I go under the Insert menu, and I'm going to choose a function, and the highest participation cost would be a maximum. So I click on that, and notice how there are parentheses. What you put in the parentheses is the range of cells that you want looked at to pull out the maximum value. So my range of cells is actually on my first tab. So I have to click on that tab, and then I have to choose a range, and I am looking at the participation fee. So I'm going to click on the letter I to select that entire column, and then that is going to be my range. Now I'm going to press return because that ends my writing of my function. But I want to look at that function with you. What does this mean? Well, this is just the way that in a spreadsheet you are indicating that you want to look at a range on another sheet. So the name of my sheet that I'm looking at is class data. You have to put that between apostrophes, and you have to put an exclamation point after it. So if I had a different name for a sheet, that would go inside the apostrophes. And then if you have a range on there like a column, I colon I means all of the cells in that column. So that is what that information means. And if it is on a different sheet than the one that you're writing the function, you have to indicate that with the apostrophe, name of the sheet, and an exclamation point. You'll see that in all the functions we use. Okay. How about trying it again? Average cost of uniforms. Always, we're going to do it from the Insert menu. We're going to go down to Function, and in this case, we're going to choose Average. This is going to give you the parentheses, and now you have to enter the range of cells. So they are cells, again, on my Class Data tab. And we are doing the average, the average cost of uniforms. So I'm going to click on H to select that column, and then I press return. So the average cost of the uniforms is $38.33, and again, this indicates a range of cells, column H, on the class data tab. How about the total income? That's a sum function. So I'm going to say Insert Function, and I'm going to choose Sum. And I need a range of cells. So I go back here to class data tab. I'm going to go to the total amount due, and I'm going to press return. Now that one is not formatted correctly, so remember you have a formatting toolbar where you can format the numbers appropriately by the type of number that you have in that cell, and this is a currency, so I can just click on that to make it a currency. So we put the functions in place through the insert menu. You can also add a function the same way that you start a formula, which is with the equal sign. As you get used to the functions that you're using, you can just start to type them in. So if I do equals and I start typing the word average, there will be a pull down menu with all of those functions that have the word average in them, and you can choose it. It'll give you the open parentheses, you can add a closed parentheses, and then you can go put the range of cells. So over time, you don't have to use the insert menu, you can write them manually starting with the equal sign.